So today we're going to be talking about the different sections on the brain-friendly reading lesson pages and how you can use them in your lesson planning to keep your students engaged as they learn new skills. In the beginning of the training companion guide, you have this infographic that shows you the anatomy and organization of a typical brain-friendly reading lesson page. I will be talking about the different sections that you may see on a lesson page and how you can use them in a variety of activities that are high engagement. All of the lesson pages have the skill labeled at the top, teacher's notes, word lists, phrases, and/or sentences. We always use these word lists when teaching a new skill. We typically have children mark the target skill and read the words either on the lesson page, or you can choose a group of words to handwrite onto a separate piece of paper. Game pages follow each of the lesson pages. And these game pages have many of these words on them so that children get that practice that they need through meaningful repetition in a fun and stress-free way. There are also additional sections that can be used for other activities on each page. The number of additional sections varies on each page. Some pages may have more or fewer of these activities. These two lesson pages have additional sections that can be used in different ways to teach new skills, review skills, or extend learning with more advanced work, such as here, here, and here. And I will explain how you can use these additional sections. You may see a section of 6 boxes that have a grouping of 3 or 4 words in each box. These are game cards that can be used to make a game of books. You can find directions on playing this game on page 262 in your training companion guide. This game is great for practicing words that look similar but have slight differences. For example, different endings such as trick, trice, and trike. There may be a different vowel sound, maybe a short vowel sound versus a long vowel sound. Or maybe in these words, lug, slug, lot, and slot, you have a difference between a one consonant at the beginning versus a consonant blend at the beginning. There are some game of books, game pages like this one that are in your training companion guide, but not every lesson has a game of books. So if you see these words or these boxes of words, know that you can create a game of books with these words. You can simply handwrite the words onto cards or paper, and you will need either 3 or 4 cards for each set of words, depending on how many words are on the card. You can choose to have 3 words on a card and collect a book of 3 cards, like in this example where we have trick, trice, and trike. Or you can have 4 words on a card and collect a book of 4 cards, like in this example with lug, slug, lot, and slot. So here we have 6 sets of cards with 3 words on a card. You will need 2 more copies of each set to make a book of 3. And here we have 6 sets of cards with 4 words on each card. Here you will need 3 more copies of each set to make a book of 4. You can list the words in the same order on each card, or you can change the order of the words on each card for students who are more advanced. The game is played similar to Go Fish, but instead of collecting 2 matching cards, you would collect books of 3 or 4 cards. This game is great for students who are more advanced in a particular skill, or for some children who need a bit more practice differentiating between slight differences in words. Older students love this game because it looks more advanced and not so babyish. And there's also a high level of meaningful repetition at the single word level. Every page has either phrases and or sentences. You can have the child mark and read right on the lesson page or write the phrases and sentences onto paper strips or sentence strips. More engaging activities include two-part sentence matching, three-part sentence matching, or cut up sentences into individual words. You can find directions for these phrase and sentence activities on pages 264 and 265 in your training companion guide. To prepare these activities, simply write 3 to 4 phrases and sentences onto paper strips and cut them into 2 parts, 3 parts, or individual words. The student marks the target skill, reads the words with the target skill, then reads the sentence parts and matches the parts together. Cutting longer sections or sentences up into 3 parts adds a challenge and is more advanced work for older students. And cutting sentences into individual words is the most advanced. You can use these same phrases and sentences for dictation. After the child puts a phrase or sentence together and reads it, remove it and dictate that same phrase or sentence for the child to write. Some lesson pages have yes or no sentences, which children find very fun. Children can mark the target skill in each sentence, then read the sentences and decide if the answer is yes or no. They can mark their answer on the lesson page, or you can write the sentences onto paper or cards, and they can sort the sentences into a yes column and a no column based on the answer. This section to the right has words that have 2 different patterns to make flip cards. These particular words focus on going back and forth between the short vowel sound and closed syllable words such as mad and the long vowel sound in vowel consonant E words such as made. You can make flip cards from index cards that are cut in half or slips of paper. They are a great hands-on activity and they allow children to manipulate the cards to practice the 2 skills. You can use these same words to do a sorting activity. Simply choose 6 to 8 of these words to write onto individual cards. Children can then mark the word, maybe the short vowel sound or the vowel consonant E pattern where the E is jumping over, and sort them by syllable pattern using a T-chart. When you see a box with words listed in 2 columns, you can use those words for a 2-column matching activity. This can be an extension activity for those students who are more advanced. Simply write the words on cards and have the child move the cards to match and make compound words or other 2-syllable words. Here are some helpful strategies and tips that you will want to consider to ensure that your children have the most success with these activities. Before reading phrases or sentences as a whole, it may be helpful to have the child pre-read words with the target skill. So have them search for, mark, and read words with the target skill before reading the sentence or before putting the sentence together or even before playing a game. When you're doing sentence work, it may be helpful to start by marking and reading phrases and sentences as a whole before you increase the level of difficulty by cutting them into 2 or 3 parts. And then the individual words is the most difficult. If you decide to create phrases and sentences, like maybe you want to make your own yes or no sentences, just be sure to choose words that follow patterns that the child has been explicitly taught and use puzzle words that the child knows. And finally, offer support as needed. Layer in scaffolds. If the child is having trouble reading a word, encourage them to arm tap the word. Maybe they should mark the skills or mark patterns on the cards as they're reading words or reading sentences. And then you can always have them refer to the tapping chart for particular sounds. I hope that this Tools in 10 has given you some clarification on why those different sections are there on the lesson pages and what you can do with them. I also hope that what you have learned here will allow you to implement a variety of activities to keep your students engaged and moving up that reading ladder.